At Harvest Growth, we're big believers in the value of market research. In fact, we do a survey and a focus group before any launch that we do, whether it's an online social media launch, a TV launch, or whatever it might be. Now let me explain what we do. We do two things, focus groups and online surveys primarily. Focus groups are considered qualitative market research, and what that means is we can't quantify the results. When you survey a group, for example, of 6 to 10 women that might be representative of your consumers, you can't afterwards say that 50% of consumers like my product or 80% of consumers believe that the color should be changed to blue. You simply can't quantify results because there's not enough people involved. However, focus groups are extremely valuable for creative direction, for helping to improve your product, to find out problems and what do you change in terms of the basic messaging about your product. So they're a great way to get started with your overall marketing approach. After focus groups, it's valuable to use quantitative research. Now, the most common way of doing that is through online surveys. You can do these yourself for free or relatively inexpensively, or you can hire an outside market research firm to help. It depends on your needs. The benefit of using quantitative research like surveys is now all of a sudden you can say 73.7% of my consumers believe that the color should be blue. Here's the average price point that my consumers believe is the best for my product. You can still learn a lot of concerns and a lot of ways to improve your product, but it really gives you a lot of confirmation that you're going in the right direction, or if you need to make any changes before you go into market. We've done several hundred market research projects for our clients over the last decade that we've been in business. And I've gone through those results and picked out the top 3 lessons learned through all of the market research that we've done. And let me share those with you today. The first lesson learned in all of the market research we've done is that assuming you know what your consumer wants is dangerous. So many times, especially as I think back to my big company experience with Kraft Foods, Nabisco, and Planters years and years ago, many times market research would be commissioned by the top level executives in order to prove what they thought was right. We would launch products because we would do market research behind it and be able to check a few boxes and say, well, these factors say that the product is probably pretty good. We should probably launch this. And many times those products would fail. So I would go back and look at this market research and say, what did we miss? And the problem is, it was a difference between trying to prove an answer and true intellectual curiosity. When you do market research, be curious about your consumers' reactions, about their responses. If you want to know what they're telling you, you'll be able to hear it. If you're trying to prove something in market research, you can always find a story behind whatever research you do to prove a certain case one way or another. But be curious in your research, and you'll be much more successful. Pay attention to the reactions, the results. That's where it can be so helpful to hire third-party market researchers. They're objective. They don't really care if your product's a success or a failure, or at least if the research tells it that way. They want to make sure that you are successful. And if research is going to help you avoid a mistake, that's fantastic. It can save you thousands and thousands of dollars. And we've seen this proven time and time again, that when you pay attention to the results and you make changes that consumers are asking you to make, you can turn what was in the beginning a relatively moderate or even somewhat of a failure of a product into a success by changing the positioning, by changing the pricing, by sometimes completely changing the product, or by canceling a launch. Sometimes that's the best answer. Before you invest too much time or energy or financial resources into your business, make sure that you are curious and that you listen to your consumers' responses. The second piece that we've learned from all of this market research that we've done is that positioning is crucial. You need to position your product or your service in the right way in order for it to be successful. Now, what positioning in essence means is, let me explain it in a couple different ways. In research, it's the description, the creative description of your product. In advertising, it's the messaging or the copy, so which might be the script for the TV spot that you have, or the wording that you use in your Facebook post. In retail, it means the copy that goes onto your package. How do you describe your package for people that are walking by your product in aisle in store? What's going to grab their attention? What are the most important messaging elements to use that position your product in the right way? Now, we've been able to learn through many airings on HSN especially, where you have live TV airings, and we can actually watch the graphs and charts real time. So as we're presenting, or as our guest host is presenting for us on HSN, they can see the results, the number of callers, the number of sales, the value of orders go up and down as they walk through their messaging. We can quickly learn that way, okay, what's working and what's not. You see those peaks and you see those valleys. Now, not every product is perfect for HSN, and sometimes HSN doesn't take in your product. It's not the only way to get this type of result, however. Every business has the chance to interact in person live with their consumers or their customers. So if you have a consumer-friendly product, you probably can sell it at a home and garden show or at a flea market, things like that, in a live selling environment. And now you can pay attention. You may not have graphs in front of you, but you have live consumer interactions and reactions to what you're saying. You can pay attention to when do they like or smile what you're talking about, when do they turn away, maybe even walk away from your booth. Pay attention to these live interactions to see what works and what doesn't. And you'll be able to quickly learn how to position your product so when you go onto national TV or onto the Walmart store shelves or whatever it might be, you are well prepared and positioned in the right way for optimal success. The third element that we've learned through so many market research tests over the years that makes the biggest impact on results is pricing. Minor changes in the pricing of your product or service can create huge results or huge changes in your business, up or down. Now, sometimes increasing your price can be better for you, and sometimes it's worse. Sometimes decreasing your price can be better, and sometimes it's worse. We learn through testing, through market research, which price is going to be optimal. Sometimes we need a high price because we want the perceived value or quality of our product to be very high. Sometimes we want a low price because consumers just don't see the quality there. It's an impulse purchase. And the balance between those two can really only be found in testing. Now, if you learn to do this testing before you launch your product, you can save thousands of dollars in avoided mistakes. Learn from your consumers by asking them, by testing with them, before you go to market in a big way. Find out if $10 is the right price, or $20, or $500, or $1,000. Which price is going to make the most or highest number of sales with your audience? Now, when you find that price, that's where you'll be successful. Hopefully, your margins will work at that price. Now, sometimes we find that our consumers are only willing to pay a certain amount for our product, but our cost might be too high. What that means is we may need to change the value equation. It may mean that we need to change the product, or it may need that we need to change the messaging, the positioning, etc., so the value goes up and we can raise that potential price point. But the value is told to us by consumers and what they're willing to pay. If we go out purely based on what our cost is, oftentimes we price too high, or we might be missing out on profits that could go above that. Make sure that you test your product before you go to market in terms of pricing. Find your optimal pricing and you'll be able to maximize your profits. Feel free to reach out to our office at Harvest Growth and see if we can help with your market research questions to find out if you need to change any of these factors to improve your business, and we'd be glad to help.